You're covering everyone's dinner, right? You just got that promotion, my sister said at a $440 per person restaurant. I hadn't agreed to anything. Stop being difficult, Dad muttered. I smiled, excused myself to the restroom, and paid only for my wife and kids' meals on the way out. When the server brought the remaining $6,380 bill to their table, the moment my sister's voice cut across that five-star restaurant, I knew everything was about to change. You're paying for everyone's meal. You got that promotion, right? She didn't ask. She announced it like I'd already agreed to drop $6,000 on people who'd spent a decade calling me a nobody. I sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, staring at Rachel. My wife Emma's hand found mine under the table. My two kids stopped eating their $38 mac and cheese to watch. I didn't agree to anything, I said quietly. Stop being difficult, Dad muttered, not looking up from his $85 steak. I smiled, set down my fork, excused myself to the restroom, and on my way past the maitre, I pulled out my black card and paid for exactly 4 meals. Mine, Emma's, Sophie's, and Jake's $1,760. Then I collected my family and walked out. When the server brought the remaining $6,380 bill to their table, I was already pulling out of the parking lot. My phone started ringing 30 seconds later. I didn't answer. My name is Marcus Davidson. I'm 38 years old. I work as a mechanic at Davidson's Auto Repair. Most people in my family think I'm barely scraping by. What they don't know is that I own Davidson's Auto Repair in 3 other locations. Last year, my shops cleared $3.2 million in revenue. I take home about $480,000 annually. But sure, let's pretend I got a promotion. 3 weeks earlier, Rachel called while I was replacing a transmission. Dad's turning 65 next month. We're doing dinner. Stelinos. Saturday the 18th. You'll be there. Not an invitation, a summons. How many people? I asked. Just family. Maybe 15. I agreed because I love my father. He'd worked hard his whole life as a union electrician. The fact that he'd always favored my older brother Mitchell wasn't entirely his fault. He was a product of his generation. College son equals success. Mechanic son equals disappointment. Mitchell was the golden child. Stanford MBA, corporate job in Seattle, $180,000 a year. He never let anyone forget it. Every family gathering turned into an update on Mitchell's achievements. Rachel was worse. Married a dentist, lived in a McMansion, drove a leased BMW. She loved dropping comments about helping me find jobs for someone with your skill set. The condescension was suffocating. I was the baby, the one who didn't go to college, the one who came home with oil under his fingernails. The one Dad looked at with disappointment every time Mitchell's name came up. What they didn't know? At 18, I started at Jerry's auto shop for minimum wage. By 22, Jerry sold me the business. By 30, I had 3 locations. By 35, 4, I never told my family. Why bother? They'd already decided who I was. Showing up with financial statements wouldn't change their narrative. It would just make them resentful or start asking for money. So, I kept quiet, drove my 10-year-old F-150, wore work clothes to family events, and let them believe whatever they wanted. The dinner was supposed to be just family, so I was surprised when Emma and I walked in and found 12 people. Rachel's entire in-law family included Craig's parents, his brother, cousins, people I'd met twice. Surprise. Rachel beamed. I thought it would be nice to make it a real celebration. Translation: Rachel wanted to show off and needed bodies and seats. Mitchell flew in from Seattle late as usual in a designer suit that probably cost more than most people's rent. Dad sat at the head of the table looking uncomfortable. He wasn't a fancy restaurant guy, but Rachel insisted and Mom had passed 3 years earlier, so there was no one to tell Rachel no. The evening started fine. Cocktails, appetizers, small talk. I sat between Emma and Jake, trying to enjoy family time, even though most of them barely acknowledged I existed. Dinner came ridiculously overpriced. Tiny pasta with truffle oil for $75. An 8-ounce steak for $110. My kids' mac and cheese was $38. Dessert was ordered. $25 per person chocolate soul that required 30 minutes advance notice. That's when Rachel stood up and clinked her wine glass. Before dessert, I want a toast. Dad, you deserve this celebration. Mitchell, thank you for flying out. And Marcus. She paused, smiled that smug smile. I heard you finally got that promotion to shop manager. Congratulations. So, tonight dinner's on you. The table erupted in applause. Craig's mother said, "How generous." Rachel's father-in-law called across. "That's a man who takes care of family." I sat very still. Emma's hand tightened on my arm. "I didn't get a promotion," I said clearly. "And I didn't agree to pay." Rachel laughed. "Oh, Marcus, don't be modest. Mitchell told me all about it. Besides, family takes care of family, and Dad doesn't have this kind of money." Mitchell shifted, but said nothing. He hadn't told Rachel anything. She'd made it up. "Stop being difficult," Dad muttered. "It's a nice gesture. Your mother would have wanted this." There it was. Mom's memory weaponized to make me comply. I looked around. 12 people staring at me expectantly. Strangers. None had ever asked how I was doing or what my life was like, but they were happy to eat $85 steaks on my supposed promotion. I smiled. "Excuse me, I need to use the restroom." Emma stood too. "Kids, get your jackets." "Marcus," Rachel started. "Restroom," I repeated. "I'll be right back." I walked straight to the mattress podium. "I need to split a check," I said quietly. "Of course, sir." "Davidson party. I need to pay for 4 meals. My wife, our 2 children, and I." She pulled up the system. "That will be $1,760, including tax and service charge." Before I continue, if you're enjoying this story, please hit subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. I read every single comment, and it truly means the world to me. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the story. I pulled out my wallet. Not the beat-up one I usually carried to family events. The slim metal one with my black card. American Express Centurion. $5,000 annual FENO spending limit. The maitre d's eyes widened slightly. "Very good, sir. And the remaining meals, they'll handle that themselves. Please bring them their check after dessert." "Understood. Would you like to add gratuity to your portion?" "Add 25%. Your transaction is complete." "Thank you, sir." I gathered Emma and the kids and walked out. It was 8:47 p.m. On a Saturday in October. Cool air, clear sky. Emma was trying not to smile. "You actually did it. They shouldn't have assumed. What do you think they'll do? Probably call Mitchell. Eventually, someone will pay the bill. Not my problem." Jake, who's 10, said, "Aunt Rachel's going to be really mad. Aunt Rachel volunteered someone else's money without asking." I said, "That's a good lesson. Never do that." Sophie, 8, said, "But it was Grandpa's birthday." "I know, sweetheart. I bought Grandpa a present. It's in my truck. We'll drop it off tomorrow when people aren't yelling." Tonight was never about his birthday. It was about Aunt Rachel showing off. We drove home. Emma put the kids to bed. I sat in my garage and waited for the phone to ring. 14 minutes. Rachel, of course. I let it go to voicemail. Lots of shouting about embarrassment, family, and how I could do this to her. Then Mitchell called. More controlled, but just as accusatory. "Marcus, I don't know what game you're playing, but you need to apologize. This is unacceptable. We're family." The irony of Mitchell lecturing me about family loyalty was almost beautiful. Dad called last. "Son, I don't understand what happened." "Rachel's upset. Mitchell had to put the bill on his card. Call me." I didn't call any of them. Instead, I opened my laptop and checked my business accounts. Davidson's auto repair wasn't just profitable, it was thriving. My accountant was already suggesting franchising. I'd built all of this with zero help from my family. Zero recognition. Zero interest. The next morning, I took my kids to Dad's house to drop off his present, a vintage tool set he'd wanted for years. It cost me $1,200 and 3 months of searching. Dad answered in his robe, coffee in hand, looking exhausted. "Can we talk?" "Kids, wait in the truck." We sat in the living room. Same furniture from my childhood. Same photos. Mitchell's graduation front and center. Mine tucked into a corner. "Your sister's very upset," Dad said. "I imagined so. She says you embarrassed her." "She embarrassed herself when she volunteered my money without asking. She assumed. She made up a story about a promotion that doesn't exist. She announced I'd pay without confirming and tried to guilt me using Mom's memory." Dad was quiet. "You could have just paid," he said. "It was my birthday." "Dad, that bill was $6,380. Rachel invited 12 people, half of them strangers, to the most expensive restaurant in the city and expected me to pay because she decided I could afford it. She didn't ask. Family helps each other. When's the last time anyone in this family helped me? When's the last time Mitchell asked how I was doing? Dad shifted uncomfortably. Your brother and sister have busy lives. So do I. But nobody cares because I'm just a mechanic, right? Just Marcus who couldn't make it through college. I never said that. You didn't have to. Heavy silence. Finally, Dad said, I don't understand what you want. I want you to stop treating me like the family charity case who should be grateful for scraps. He looked down at his hands. Is that really how you feel? Every gathering, Dad. Every time Mitchell's name comes up. Every comment Rachel makes about helping me find work. Yes. More silence. Your mother loved you, he said quietly. I know. She's the only one who asked about my day, about my work. My voice cracked. I miss her. Me too, son. I stood. Happy birthday. There's a present in the hallway. I left before he could respond. 3 weeks passed. Nobody called. Being talked about was easier than being ignored. Then Mitchell showed up at my shop. Tuesday afternoon, I was in the third bay when Danny stuck his head in. Boss, someone's asking for you. Mitchell stood in the customer area in business casual, looking around like he'd landed on another planet. This place is bigger than I expected, he said that I didn't respond. Why are you here? Can we talk somewhere private? I led him to my office, a modest room with a desk, family photos, and a window overlooking the shop floor. He sat without asking. Looking around, how many bays? 12. Dad told me what you said about feeling like the family charity case, he said. I guess I never thought about it that way. You never tried to. He paused. But you don't exactly share much. Neither do you, unless it's to brag. He flinched. That's not fair, isn't it? When's the last time you asked about my life? He really looked around this time, at the business licenses. The Chamber of Commerce certificate naming Davidson's Auto Repair Small Business of the Year. You own this place? I own 4. His face shifted, surprise, disbelief, calculation. How much are they worth? None of your business. Marcus, come on. We're brothers. You spent 15 years treating me like the family embarrassment. I didn't. He stopped. I did, didn't I? Yeah. How long have you owned these? I bought my first shop when I was 22. He did the math. 16 years. 16 years of family dinners where no one asked about my life, while everyone talked about his. He looked shaken. What's the revenue? Healthy. More than yours. He exhaled. Rachel's going to lose her mind. She won't know unless you tell her. This isn't about proving anything. I'm just living my life. After a long silence, he said, I'm sorry. I never meant to make you feel invisible. But you did. He admitted what I'd built was impressive and asked if we could start over. I agreed. On one condition, treat me like an equal. He left, and I went back to work. 2 weeks later, Dad called. Not to argue, but to apologize. He admitted he'd focused on Mitchell and assumed I didn't need the same attention. We talked for hours. It didn't fix everything, but it was a start. Rachel never apologized. When she found out about my businesses, she asked why I never told anyone. I didn't reply. At Christmas, Emma and I hosted. Our house surprised everyone. Dinner wasn't perfect, but it was real. Rachel finally confronted me about my success. I told her the truth. I didn't need validation, and if I'd told them earlier, they would have asked for money. She left early. Afterward, Dad told me Mom would have been proud. Mitchell admitted he understood why I stayed quiet. That night felt like closure. 6 months later, Rachel stays distant. Mitchell tries. Dad visits often. And me. I'm still just a mechanic with a family I love, a business I built, and no need to prove anything to anyone. I still get oil under my fingernails. I still drive my F-150 and show up at 6 a.m. But I also own 4 thriving businesses, employ 47 people, support my family comfortably, and sleep well knowing I did it my way. The world loves telling you who you should be, college degree, corporate job, corner office. But success isn't about impressing others. It's about building something you're proud of on your own terms. That restaurant bill taught me this. People who truly care don't need a price tag to see your value. And people who only see you as a wallet aren't worth carrying. My grandmother used to say, a man's character isn't what he does when everyone's watching. It's what he does when he has the power to walk away. I walked away. Best decision I ever made. Here's what really stands out about Marcus's story. He wasn't weak, he was strategic. For 16 years, he built an empire while his family decided he was the failure. If they'd known the truth, they would have wanted money, favors, or validation. So he stayed quiet and focused on his life. Smart. Rachel wasn't celebrating, she was performing. When Marcus walked out, he didn't just refuse to pay. He ended the performance. That's why she couldn't apologize. The real lesson? Stop performing for people who will never clap. Real power isn't revenge, it's removal. Marcus didn't argue or explode. He paid his share and walked away, letting consequences do the work to So here's my question for you. If you were Marcus, would you have let them back in after the apologies? Or kept your distance for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments.